Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I'm never on time. Ever. Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this fine and luxurious evening. We have Area 503 in the house tonight, Manny, which we will be doing a little bit of an interview, and we'll be talking about the alien threat, because I'm very concerned about it. And so is Mickey here on my t-shirt. I almost look naked with a Mickey Mouse tattoo, I've just realized, because this is literally nearly my skin tone. But yeah, before we talk about me naked, let's get Manny on. Manny, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey.
I should say,
glad to see you.
Area 503. I first saw you on Goofon. That's how I found you, and I thought this. He compared you to Secure Team 10. He said this guy's going to be the next secure team. Yeah.
I remember that. That was a lot of fun, man. When I found Goofon and Richie's channel, that was great. It was shortly after I think I had done those Secure Team 10 pieces, and he had done some talking about Tyler and stuff, but I had subscribed to Goofon maybe 2 months before that, because I thought he was the global UFO research network, like a global version of MUFON by his name. And I was like, oh wait, that's not him. And I'd never actually watched any of his shows, but I kept getting YouTube recommendations. And then one day I just randomly popped in to check out his show, and he had been playing one of my videos and talking about my stuff. And I was like, oh wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, what are the odds, that the first time I pop in here,
was Rich being a dick to you?
Oh no, not at all. He was actually being really cool. No, he was cool.
It is surprising. It is surprising. I'm only joking, Rich, if you're watching. I love him. So before we go into the community and what have you, what actually got you in to create this channel? How long have you had Area 503 for?
So this channel's been around maybe close to 3 years, I think, or so.
Your audio's going funny, mate.
Okay. That should fix it there. Is that better?
There you go. That was for you, Rich. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, so what got you into it? And how long you had it for?
Okay, yeah. So it's been about 3 years. I'd have to go back and look at my first video, which was Oumuamua was my first video, was the date that I had came live. But honestly, before I'd started this channel, I had done a good 2 to 3 months work on it, getting my logos down, learning how to edit, getting my templates down for my videos, creating thumbnail templates, things like that, and getting stuff ready to kind of produce videos on a regular basis. And I had learned how to do all that the previous 2 years on a gaming channel that I had, which was, we were talking about a little bit of gaming beforehand, behind or in the studio there, and that was what I was doing. I was just making gaming videos because it was fun, and it was what I wanted to do. But I was really thinking about, in 10 years from now, do I really want to be talking about Tap Titans 4 or, Dota 6 or whatever, I was like, no, I don't really want to be talking about video games all my life. It's always been a hobby for me and fun. And I had been watching other, kind of similar channels. Secure Team 10 was a big one. I'd been watching him for years, and I didn't realize that there was a whole community out there underneath him. I thought, like he was kind of a one-man band kind of thing. And that's why I really liked him. I was like, man, this kid just shoots from the hip. He calls it like he sees it. But where I got into the research part and why I call my channel The Search for Universal Truth is because I felt like, and I'm not trying to harsh on Tyler here, but I just felt like he wasn't really researching things thoroughly. Like I would watch one of his videos and I would spend, a couple hours afterwards digging into those subjects and finding out that there was a lot more that he wasn't, either didn't know about or wasn't revealing. So I was like, well, if I'm doing all this research at the end of the night, why am I just kind of, storing that information myself? I'm not sharing it with anyone. So I wanted to make videos about it to share what I learned. And that's where the search for universal truth comes from. And that's why in my videos, you'll find links to resources and research and other topics to review about what I'm talking about, because I want people to go and make up their own minds and figure out things for themselves. I'm just trying to make it easy for them by putting everything in one place. So that's really what got me into it. I wanted to research things and share that research instead of just keeping it all locked away up here.
So prior to Area 503, did you have any interest in UFOs then before?
Oh, absolutely. I've been interested in strange occurrences and phenomenon like this for a long time, and I didn't have an organized way. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't realize that there was a whole online community around it. I just kind of had missed it somehow, until I started getting involved, until I met Richie really and started branching out from there and seeing all these different people. And I'm like, wow, there's this whole other element into this, and I had largely avoided UFO Twitter because it seemed to me like either an argumentative place or an advertising type place. It wasn't, 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, UFO Twitter it wasn't the same as it is today, obviously, but there were these other communities out there that I just kind of missed, because of one reason or another. And so that's kind of where I ended up where I was. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do my thing then, I'm going to do what I do. And hopefully I can find some other like-minded people out there, or, I'll attract other like-minded people and we can, work together or whatever. And that's kind of where I'm at today. It took a few years to get there, and if I'd had to do it differently, I would definitely go look in some other ways than, the areas that I went to. But I'm glad that I found the people that I have found. And I'm glad that I've gotten the exposure to the whole community, because I get to see so much more than just, a little pigeonholed version that I was being given before, So yeah, I've definitely always been interested in this stuff. I've always loved science fiction. I've always loved the X-Files. To me, I thought was a documentary, I didn't feel like when that show came out that they were creating that stuff. I was like, oh my God, they're really trying to tell us what's going on here. Why aren't we listening? And then in 2001 with Greer and the Disclosure Project, everything really started to kind of click with me. I was like, wow, like things are really changing. But, what happened in September happened and everyone forgot. Things changed, and then we come to today, and we've got all this stuff that's going on. And for some reason, I feel like I'm sitting on the outside and I see what's going on. But, like so much of ufology is so damn close to what's going on. They're just happy to be in the know for once. They don't care if it's a guy like Lou Elizondo who's giving him the attaboy. They're just happy to be, I don't know, part of it for once. I don't get it, but we'll talk about that during the threat part. I'm kind of rambling a little bit there, but
No, don't worry about it. So have you ever had any experiences yourself, like anything, any close encounters, so to speak?
I wish that I had, and I haven't. I've seen some strange things. Who hasn't? But, whenever I investigate something, I always come up with some kind of possible earthly explanation. A shadow, a naughty shadow on an oak in the dark could look like a face. It's pareidolia, and I'm not saying that I'm definitely not saying that other people haven't, but I've looked and I've watched and I've seen things in the skies. But, the more I learn about this stuff, apps like Flight Radar and the ISS tracking program and things like that, you can come up with something for a lot of these things, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I've never personally seen anything. I've never experienced anything, and I wish that I had. And I keep my mind open. I sit outside and I stare at the sky and I look for anything that's out of the ordinary and I film it. And then I go and look and I'm like, oh yeah, there was a plane there. Oh, okay, it was a helicopter, or hey, that's just a star moving by a distant galaxy, whatever. The more you learn about this stuff, the better off you are, though. And that's kind of where I'm at. That's my whole search for universal truth. I'm just going to keep learning till the day I die.
So you just decided one day, you know what? I'm going to find out about aliens.
Yeah, well, I started reading about it and I started not talking to different people, but looking at different videos that people had put up. And of course, there's been books all the time. I mean, Corso's put out books. Everybody knows about, there's been all kinds of interest in UFOs and aliens. And I've always felt, like kind of at my core, since I was a kid, I've kind of looked at the world and I've felt like something was off. My very first computer was a Commodore VIC-20. And my very first modem that I got was an acoustic coupler where you'd snap an old rotary dial phone into it and it would dial and you'd get 300 baud connection, which is, I can't even explain to people how slow that is. It's just impossible. We're talking out, thousands of times slower than what we're working with today, not including 5G, so, I've seen technology grow. And, when I was in my early 20s, I did some work in high tech and I attended a few seminars with people like Andy Grove, who worked at Intel, who was one of the designers of the x86 original architecture, the Intel chip, and I remember a seminar he gave, and he talked about that particular, the integrated circuit, the IC that they came up with. Why was it called the x86? It was the 86th iteration of that chip that they had built that didn't melt itself to a smegma, like just melt itself down. Well, how did they know that it was going to keep working? Who's going to try something 86 times without making a few tweaks to try something just a little different or change your core? It's almost like they knew that if they kept hammering down this road, they were going to come up with something. And so it kind of made me wonder. I was like, how did they know? And it wasn't until years later when I heard the interview with Corso, who I honestly, I don't believe Colonel Corso very much. He seems like he repeats a lot of stories, but he was talking about a technology dissemination program in America. And I was like, well, that would explain that, amongst a lot of other things, technologically wise, lasers, integrated circuits, all that stuff that we were coming up with back then. And it just seemed to me so revolutionary. I was like, how do people come up with this? It's just seemed amiss to me. And that, I've always suspected it was some kind of alien crash or reverse technology. And that's what led me into the alien factor. But the more I really, when I learned about astronomy and about how many planets are actually out there, when I started the last maybe 5 years really digging into that stuff, I was really shocked and amazed. I'm like, it's a statistic and probability if we're alone, to the point of being ridiculous. Like the only way that we're alone in this universe is if we are indeed intelligently created and it was designed that way. If this is a natural process that brought us up, which from my experience, it seems more of a natural process that we evolved on this planet along with everything else, then that means we're going to find life like this under the ice of Enceladus. We're going to find it on some of these planets that have habitable zones, exoplanets that have habitable zones in other solar systems. We're probably going to find it right here, on Mars. When we really start digging, we're going to find out, yeah, there's still microbial life there and has been. In fact, they're teaching that in college right now. Perseverance hasn't even made the discovery, but they're telling 19-year-olds in college, this is probably what they're going to find.
I think Perseverance is definitely there for one reason and one reason only, and that's probably what they've actually realized for a while now, and that has a hidden agenda, that mission. Definitely.
Well, its sole objective is to find life on Mars. I mean, they're not hiding that. They're like, that's what this thing is for. Yeah, thanks, Rika. Nice, man. Yeah, good to see you here. I haven't looked at the chat yet. I can't see if there's a bunch of people here. Oh yeah, we're doing good, everyone. I see a bunch of good names there.
Yeah, 65 people watching. I have no idea what the thumbs up are, but get them up, guys. So let's talk about the threat. So I watched a video of yours the other day when you kind of spoke out about this, and I'm interested for you to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, because you mentioned Lou.
Oh yeah, Lou, to me, my hackles have been put up by Lou Elizondo since his original TTSA announcement. The clip where he looks into the camera and he's like, "I'm here to tell you that the phenomenon is real."
That's a great impression.
Wait. Yeah. So I've been bullshitted all my life by all kinds of people, good and bad. Lou's a great bullshitter, but my flags just go right up and I see right through it. Everything about him speaks of double talk. Every time the way that his narrative has changed over the years, from the phenomenon is real to now it's a threat to now it's ours, now it's theirs, now it might be UFOs, now it might be aliens. That to me is a double talker. That's a BSer. That's somebody whose story changes depending on what they want. There's so many different other red flags about Lou, but that's just what started it. The fact that he's military intelligence, that he ran those kind of psyops for years on people, that he was trained to do it like the best of them, that scares the hell out of me. Those are some of the scariest folks on the planet that I've ever had the misadventure of running into or talking to, are some of those hardcore spies who will literally do anything in the name of national security. When Lou was on Dave Scott's show about 2 weeks ago, there was a clip where he says, "I spent the first half of my life destroying human lives in the name of national security, and now I'm trying to put people back together." I mean, that was like his 30th reason for why he's come out, but that was one where I was like, oh, he finally said what he had done in the past, and he talked a little bit about his work at Guantanamo Bay. And I really want to know what his history is, what he's done. I mean, they can't tell us. They won't say, oh, he worked this operation or whatever. We can't disclose that. Well, then why is this guy the whistleblower? Why is he the one to come out? Why is he the one that's muddying the waters? Why is he the one that says, these are UFOs, but I can't tell you anything more than that? You know, like, it's the guy champions himself a whistleblower, and I just want to smack him and say, that's stolen valor, pal. Snowden was a whistleblower, and he destroyed his life to bring us the truth. You're running for Congress. You ain't no whistleblower. You're a part of a plan, you know. That's
I don't know if I'd want to start a physical fight with Lou. You know, he's kind of a big guy, and I bet he's well trained.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a fist fight. I don't want to fight anybody, man. Like, if we have to resort to violence, then our intellect and our words and our points have lost, you know. Like, if we can't work it out, I mean, on a personal level, I'm not talking geopolitically or anything, but, you know.
So I try to stay on both sides of everybody's fence when it comes to this, because there is a possibility that we all could be wrong. You know, there is a possibility that Lou could be actually doing a great thing. You know,
anything's possible. I mean, yeah.
I understand why everybody is suspicious. Completely understand. I myself have my suspicions. I try to keep them to myself, because otherwise I wouldn't have Alien Addict, because Alien Addict is all about getting people on and listening to both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But this divide to me is extremely interesting, because for quite a long time it was very much TTSA is exciting. TTSA is exciting people, and well, maybe not yourself, but there was a lot of people.
Me, yeah.
but there is a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have jumped ship, and they're like, no. And it really does intrigue me when it comes to this report that's going to come out, to what people may or may not believe. When it comes to people who are highly in the community of UFOs that do a lot of research, these people might be the people that are saying, you know what? If they say there's aliens, we might turn around and say, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Why are you telling us now? You've lied to us all these years. Why would you come clean now? You know, and that's, you know, there's an old adage, beware of strangers bearing gifts. You know, there's a reason for that. And Lou is a damn stranger bearing gifts. And if you look at where he's gotten to, he's right at the top of ufology. He's right on the posters with everybody else. He's doing the talk shows and he's doing the conventions. You know, he's right there. He went right to the top. And I hate to say it, but that's exactly how American intelligence works. They've done it in foreign countries. They've done it in third world nations where they instill somebody into a position of power in order to control a regime. You know, like, it's just, the whole thing just stinks of a playbook. And the fact that Lou keeps changing on the fly and getting information. Let me ask you this. Lou Elizondo is a whistleblower, right? I mean, he blew the whistle. He considers, hey, I'm blowing the whistle. I'm forcing the DOD and the Pentagon to reveal what they know. But somebody inside the Pentagon is still leaking Lou information. Somebody inside the Pentagon is still helping Lou Elizondo. And somebody inside the Pentagon who's writing the 180-day report leaked him a copy and allowed him to have input on what should be in there. Who else gets that kind of access except for somebody who's still working on the job? You don't have that access. I don't have that access. I can't. Nobody else can influence the 180-day report, but Louis Elizondo can. How does that work?
Do you think these people know exactly what's going to come out on that report?
Absolutely. I think they absolutely know. And I think that they're using it as a position to gain an advantage of some kind, just like they did when they were forced to reveal what they knew by the GAO about Roswell in the Schiff investigation in the 70s. They release what they want to release to paint the narrative that they want. And then they say, we don't have anything else. That's it. You know, you can dig into it all you want. You can file all the FOA you want. It ain't going to matter. We don't have it, because they've destroyed everything that doesn't sync with their story. It's just that simple.
What do you think is going to come out of this report?
I forecasted
other than what the leaks we've already seen.
I really, it's hard to say, you know. You might see I have a feeling it's going to do everything to back up Lou's story. It's going to show more of the programs that ATIP was working in. things like that. Their research that is linked to the Salvatore Pi patents, that will probably be in there. They're trying to get all this stuff on the official record, and it's most likely because they're scared that another foreign nation is going to have or release that technology and try to claim it. So if they have patents on it, it's all about money. They can sue people. They can file, sanctions against countries that pursue this technology illegally. It's the same thing as if you look at how we've controlled nuclear technology since its invention. We determine who gets it and when, and they better be our friend. Otherwise they'll never get it, So
do you think they'll push it the alien way, or do you think they'll push it that this is another country's technology?
Well, Lou has put this, I don't know, it's hard to tell because Lou is their mouthpiece. And so you could take everything that Lou is saying as from them, in my opinion. Okay. And so I think Lou changes because he deliberately wants to confuse the two. And he's doing that to get people like you and me on his side. But he's really talking about a foreign adversary. Lou has never said once UFO. He's never said alien, which surprises me that he is, again, at the top of ufology. And that's why he alludes to it, is because he's swinging UFO Twitter. He's swinging a public opinion. He's infiltrated a sub community, and now he's trying to turn it to his wishes. This is what intelligence operators do. This is how they operate. Like if he could just come in and wiggle a bunch of money around because we lived in a third world nation, he'd do that, but he can't. He can't just throw money around. He needs to use his mind, and he needs to play the spy games. And that's exactly what he's doing. I firmly believe he's still working for some faction of the government, and that scares the crap out of me because he says he's fighting a deep state is really what he alludes to, because that is the only type of institution that could keep this kind of secret as long as he's now saying it's been kept. 70 years. I mean, that's how many administrations, how many different generals, how many different Pentagon, factions have come and gone since then. I tend to think, like most intelligence people, they're going to come out and say that they're going to fight a deep state, but really they're the front for it. That's how they work. It's just like watching old propaganda news in the 80s or 90s. You just pretty much got to flip everything 180 degrees and you get the truth.
So let's think really out there right now. So they show us something, and they show us evidence that. And I'm not talking about this report. I'm talking down the line, because the report will just be the start of it. But say in the next 2 years, we get something that is absolutely mind blowing. Say that they show Perseverance showing a structure on Mars, plain as day, maybe not even looking that old. And then they start showing us files of from Area 51. And they start showing us pictures of the bodies, this, that, and the other. And it looks very much like the typical gray.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that's what I want to see. I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be true disclosure. Okay. I'm not asking for when I say I want disclosure, I want the American government to come out and tell the world everything that they've done with alien technology since the 40s. I want to know. I want to know what you guys did with it. I want to know who you've given it to, and I want to know why you've lied to us, because there's a cost to that lie.
Okay, but I haven't finished.
Okay.
They then tell us that the reason why it's being kept from us is because they did all the investigation into these beings, where they came from, what they want, and they tell us that that Greer is right, Stephen's right. They need weapons in space to stop these little bastards from blowing Earth up.
Are you talking about our nuclear weapons?
No, I'm talking about these little grey bastards in the corner. And probably your government will tell us. I believe that. I believe it will be the Americans, because we don't hear much of this UFO stuff other than my channel in the UK and what's his name? Nick.
Yeah, Nick West. Mm-hmm.
And well, Nick West don't believe it. He wants to believe, but he just can't. No, yeah. I'm on about the Pope. Nick Pope.
Yeah.
Would you believe it? They show you hands down. They show you. it's literally plain as day? Or would you start going firing out on your channel, telling everybody, telling the world, do not believe what you're seeing? This is wrong.
Well, I would investigate it like I do everything else. I would look into it and I would consider the source and I would go from there. You know, if I felt like it was full disclosure, it would be, but they're not just going to tell us about Roswell. I want to know about everything, you know, and I don't even, honestly, I think a lot of that stuff's probably been destroyed and the people who knew about it aren't there anymore. So maybe they can't tell us, but there's a lot that they can, you know, there's a lot of people there who do know. If the evidence was there and I felt like they were coming clean, I would believe it, but I would be very skeptical because I know they have no reason to do so. And so I would question what their motives would be.
Do you think it's going to get pushed that if this does come out that there are little green men in flying saucers going around, do you think they're going to push that they are a threat? Because it kind of seems that way with.
I think that's where it's going. I think
When
that's the only reason to do it. Yeah.
When I type UFO in on
Mhm.
YouTube or anywhere, it literally all you see is the 6 pieces of footage.
Mhm. Yeah, the number one, if you go in to do an animated GIF to a comment and type in UFO, the number one is the Tic Tac, you know, and that's the thing. It's little things like that, you know. I mean, they're trying so hard to shove it down our throats, you know. And for people who know what good footage is and who know what reliable stories are, it's not that impressive. None of it is. Nothing that Jeremy Corbell or Lou Elizondo has leaked is, I would say, is groundbreaking. Now, it was just last night I read that Lou Elizondo's got further documentation about the Omaha incident that he has never released and couldn't release. And now he's going to. He's like, big stuff's coming soon. Just wait. And I'm like, dude, you're 3 years behind the party. Why didn't you release all the information you had at the same time? Like, that's ridiculous. You know, I'm not even impressed. I don't even care about that sighting anymore. There's so many different, more credible sightings out there that we should talk about. Not a Tic Tac or a gimbal or a FLIR, you know, a TTSA promotional footage, you know, like it's just, you know, what about Aguadilla, Puerto Rico? You know, what about I don't know, what was that, 2013? You know, why don't they care about that? We have corresponding radar data. We have statements from a Customs and Border Patrol person who leaked the information. You know, nobody cares about that. But all of a sudden, you know, Tom DeLong is selling a piece with Lou, and they're like, invest.
See, I find there's something a little bit strange with TTSA and the guys that did work for TTSA with TTSA, so Lou and Chris Mellon, because I mean Chris, when he went on, and I said this to Rich, when Chris went on Joe Rogan, not once did TTSA get brought up, not once.
Yeah, he won't.
I find it a little bit strange that this is not happening. Like when you now see the interviews with Lou, it's almost like TTSA has been forgotten about. So I kind of like, I'm wondering if Tom's like,
oh, that's by design though, because Lou will tell people not to ask him about TTSA. He says anything you need to know about TTSA needs to go to TTSA. You can ask them, and he'll tell them before the interview, don't ask about it because that's what I'm going to say. That's why Joe didn't ask about it, because he's an interviewer and he'll do that to get people on the show. You know, I wouldn't make that concession. I'd be like, I'm going to ask you about whatever I want. If you can't agree with that on that, don't come on my show. You know, but
yeah, I thought that was a little bit strange that Joe didn't ask Chris about Tom DeLong, because he took the he made it. I want to say took the piss, but or take the mic. I don't know what you guys understand over there, but yeah, you know what I mean. He made fun of Tom on the show, and rightly so. When he showed that strange piece of CGI, I think that was the icing on the cake. That I believe that Tom was a little bit stoned at the time. Maybe he can't handle his weed.
Lightweight.
Maybe other stuff. but it seems to me like it is being purposely pushed to the back. Let's forget about Tom. I feel a little bit sorry for Tom.
Let me ask you something, man. Do you think like So I read the Podesta emails where Tom DeLong was petitioning Hillary Clinton because he thought that she was going to win, and he wanted to basically do some kind of TTSA type thing, but with her administration. And then he jumped ship when he saw the election went a different way and waited for, or didn't jump ship. I think he just waited. And then I guess the point is that everyone knew that Tom DeLong was just a rube waiting for a hunk of cheese. So I hate to say it, but if there would be no one more aptly suited for that role than him, and somebody like Lou, who would know that. The whole world knew it. I mean, if you wanted to manipulate somebody with a piece of footage, and I said that in my video about Rubes and Corbell and all those people, I was talking about people who are allowing themselves to be manipulated, either knowingly or unknowingly, and they have a following. Tom DeLong's that guy. He's got a huge following that was big in ufology and his rock following. So if you wanted to get into manipulating his following, all you got to do is manipulate him, right?
So do you think that he was knowingly manipulated? So he knew he was being manipulated, or he was unaware?
I think he's unaware. I think he's one of those guys who has convinced himself that he's in it for the right reasons, disclosure, and that he's actually doing a good thing here. But he's not. I don't want to be a jerk, but he's not that intelligent. He's not that intelligent. He's not that trustworthy. He doesn't have security clearance. I strongly doubt that he is in on the know. I have a feeling that he's more of someone that they knew that they could use and use for cheaply. But it wasn't cheap, because if you look at what Tom DeLong profited from this, he has no complaints in the world. And people will say Tom DeLong had a bunch of money from his music and stuff like that. Well, they need to understand the music industry. That's not really how music works. He does have money, he gets residuals, I'm sure, and he does tours and he makes money from that. But when he founded TTSA, he lumped something like $300,000 worth of debt into that company that was, for his TTSA building, I suspect, in on the beach, the shop that he has. And when he sold the stocks to that company, that's what people were buying, was the debt. And he sold some $33 million in stock on that company that got paid out to the employees and wasn't spent on researching advanced technology or a ship that would traverse space, air, and water, which was the promises that he made. He might be in some SEC trouble at some point because of that. You never know. He has made a statement that he had pulled out 33 million was stock bonuses to his employees. Well, who are those employees? Let's find the public records. I've looked at them. There's 6 names on there. It's not a secret, and a lot of people made money off of that. So I guess they can, people can jump to whatever conclusion they want there. I guess in the long run, I don't think he's in on the know. I don't think he has the clearance. I don't think that they would trust him with it. I think they're just using him.
So you think Greer's right?
Yeah,
so it's exactly what Greer, because Greer slept with, not slept with Tom DeLong. Greer, Stephen had Tom DeLong over to stay at his house.
Wow.
I don't know if they had a barbecue or whatever and spoke about UFOs, had a few drinks. Maybe Stephen and Tom had a couple of smokes together or whatever. I reckon Stephen probably does. But
oh yeah,
he's
part of the CE5 process, right?
Yeah, definitely. but he said, Tom's being used.
That's what I feel too. Just intrinsically, I just feel that in my intuition that he's being used. I don't think that he was a player that was, he just didn't have. He doesn't have the clearance. Again, he doesn't have the connections. He doesn't, we're not talking, Bigelow here. If it was, he does have involvement with them, but he wasn't the one that, they didn't go to him as a front man. There's some people I might say, well, this guy's been working with them for a long time, so I wouldn't be surprised that they're going to go to him. I think that they just realized that Tom DeLong was that kind of believer that if a military intelligence guy like Elizondo came and brought him footage, he'd think he's, the next Deep Throat or whatever. He's going to be the guy to get out there and just break the story, So I kind of feel like that's where we're at with DeLong. He's just a rube.
That's it. That's interesting. Third Phase of Moon have just interviewed Daniel Shehan, so that's going to be up on the channel. I look forward to that, guys. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'm kind of interested to see how he's doing with Elizondo. When I heard that he was representing him, I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, okay. but that might, maybe he can convince him to do something. But
it's just a weird thing that though. I hope, and I don't know if you did, Blake and Brent, if you asked him about, their involvement with Greer, because he was very, him and Greer were, buddies. He was representing Greer, wasn't he? So, and now it's like jumping ship. It's weird how, how things come around. The circles that we go round in.
who'd have thought that?
I'm friends with
Yeah.
Tyler from Security in 10. I used to absolutely debunk the living shit out of him. And
That's how the
third
world
phase.
works, man. Yeah.
Though Blake did tell me on the phone the other day, said you never debunk shit.
Well, hey, you put your best foot forward, man. That's funny. I love it, dude. And that's just how, I was saying something about that the other day. I was like, who'd have thought that all of a sudden, here we are in 2021, and all of a sudden Stephen Greer is a liar and Lou Elizondo, who's a spy, is telling the truth. And I was just like, ufology's lost its flipping mind, man. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And it happened over 3 years or 4 years, but that's where we're at. People, I just don't get it, and it was all baby steps with Elizondo and TTSA and Mellon and all of them, even, they're all getting into it. So, but when you just kind of step back and look at how things were 5 years ago versus where they're at today, it really should be a slap in the face and be like, wow, things have gone at rocket speed. If it's not part of an operation, if it's just coincidence, why didn't things ever happen like this 5 years ago, 8 years ago? And that's really my question for Lou. If he really wanted to blow the whistle and bring some attention to this, why didn't he do it when he had access and he was in ATIP? Why did he wait till after the program was done? And why did he come out then when there was already another UAP task force? There's something designed. There's another program specifically designed for these to detect these things that he wasn't a part of, and that really makes me question, his motivations. Why is he doing this? I guess it depends on when you ask him, because I've seen people ask him 3 different times in a show, like, why are you doing this? And he'll give 3 different answers depending on when they ask. Sometimes it's for the truth, which just makes me fucking laugh that a CIA spy is going to want to do anything for a spy is going to want to do anything for the truth.
Like, it's not the C word.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't get it. I just, there's this whole perception about, what those types of people do in the name of national security. And Lou's even alluded to some of it. I'm like, he is not the most credible witness. We could add anybody. We could add a janitor leak footage from ATIP, and it would have been more credible than Lou Elizondo. We could have had a secretary who overheard a conversation leak footage, and it would have been more credible. But, I just don't get it. I don't see how people can't see through him. And they seem to just buy him hook, line, and sinker. And that's because that's his job. It's his job to sell people his lie. That's why he's been so good at what he's done for, 20 something years, or since he, joined the military. So
what did you make of this? The latest from Corbell. That's your cue to have a smoke as well, mate. Yeah. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know. A balloon, a dot. What is it? Is it FLIR footage? Is it from I have many, many questions about this footage. I'm not impressed by it though. I've seen a ton of different things, and LRF armed IO return. Military radar, possibly. I'd like to look into it. I'd like to run those coordinates that just popped up down there on the image to see where they're from. I haven't researched it though. I don't waste my time with Corbell anymore because unfortunately it's just not that impressive to me.
So this is the one that goes into the water.
Apparently. Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay. I do remember this one. I thought a couple of different things. Originally, I was thinking that this might be a white weather balloon like the one that flew over Japan last year. And that when it sinks down into the water, that it just pops, it looks like it shoots away. But if you look at how a balloon pops in slow motion, which I did, I looked at a video that the slow-mo guys did, the 4,000 frames per second of a water balloon popping, and it actually has that same spherical type shape to it. So it does kind of look like a balloon popping, but I can't say. That's just my best guess based on this grainy footage, and again, I need more information to say, yes, this is awesome, and that's a UFO, or no, this is just sketchy black and white footage,
So yeah, so that's the problem with it, that there isn't enough there. I mean, I don't think it's a balloon. I really don't think it's a balloon, because it actually does reappear for a split second. It comes back, but there's not enough there for me to say, you know what, that's the smoking gun. That's the one.
Sure.
So I mean, I would like to get Corbell to speak his side of the story when it comes to this, because I know he's getting it off Knapp, and Knapp's getting it off whether he's getting it off. But
where's that coming from?
They must know more information in regards to the cut, this, that, and the other. And they say, this has to, and it's being filmed off a phone, not filmed obviously on the ship, because that would be illegal. But it's just all very convenient.
Why would that be illegal? I don't understand. If they're going to allow someone to release a cell phone footage of a witness statement or a witness, like with audio and stuff, why not just come clean and say, hey, here's all the CIC information, here's the radar data, here's the pilot chatter, here's the audio logs, do what you want with it. We assure you there's nothing there, and there's no shame in our game. They haven't done that. I don't get it. Like, why not?
I think because we're just little people, we're the little people.
Have you seen the report on Aguadilla where they've got all that, though? They've got ground-based radar. The drive was able to get the 2016 UFO over Oregon, the radar data, the FAA logs, the audio files, all that stuff. I did a whole video about it where I overlaid everything together and made it so you could experience that in real time. And that was a site that they scrambled 2 F-16s out of Bigfoot Squadron in Washington for that sighting, because this UFO buzzed Northern California and Oregon for over an hour. And when the F-16 showed up over Portland, nothing. The thing's gone. But they released that information. But here's Lou, the UFO disclosure Jesus Messiah, and he can't even give us a radar data or a logbook that shows that actually happened. I get it. I mean, I just don't buy it. I need more info.
My first video that made, I think it was 1,000 views overnight, was some jets that went over my house. The middle of the night, my wife literally shit herself, jumped out of bed. Sonic booms, two sonic booms, and then the next morning, there's a massive report all over the news. Tyler from Security Intent reported on it as well, and apparently a French airliner had just literally adjusted its gone off course, but we got sonic booms as well in the UK. I don't know what it's like over there, but it's illegal for them to do that, unless there's like a big reason for it. But it was, if you looked at the actual the radar of where these jets actually went, they were constantly circling the sea, like between England and France. It was weird.
It was, they were looking for something, maybe.
Yeah. It wasn't like they were trying to. It wasn't like they were trying to get this airliner back on track, because they just kept going round and round. It was like something a little bit strange there, a little bit iffy, and it's interesting though. But I don't think with any of these reports that we're ever going to see anything that I would say, you know what, they're telling the truth fully. That report is fully telling the truth.
Well, it's going to have to go back before 2006 or 8 or 4 or whatever. Like, all this stuff that's coming out now has been in the recent past, right? But they're not talking about anything that happened, after Roswell up until now. They're not talking about anything that Blue Book, which we know Blue Book investigated thousands of sightings. They're not talking about those. They're not saying, oh yeah, well, we have been into this for a long time. We have been into this since Project Grudge in 46. We have been doing this, and these are the names of these other programs, and this is what they developed or determined. They act like because we don't know the specific name, that we don't get that information. And that's why they shut down programs like ATIP every 4 to 6 years. I mean, I hate to say it, but Bob Lazar said that that's how they do this. They compartmentalize things and then they flush people out every few years and bring in fresh faces and fresh ideas. And then that way people don't know and they'll think, oh, it was just something that we worked on for a few years and then we dabbled in, we forgot about it. But we know that they've been doing this stuff for a long time. We know about Majestic. We know about all kinds of different crazy things that they've done and lied about, but now all of a sudden they're going to come out with some sketchy footage and be like, this is disclosure. Nah, tell me everything. Tell me everything.
Do you believe Bobby? Do you believe Bob?
Bob Lazar is an interesting story. My personal opinion on him, I've gone back and forth. Now, when I said that Lou Elizondo raises my BS detectors, I get the complete opposite out of Bob Lazar, that Bob Lazar is being sincere. But I've done enough research into Bob and his science, especially after, looking at some of the stuff that alien scientists did, to know that the science doesn't sync up. So what does that leave? Was Bob Lazar shown some technology and then shown something that was deliberately untrue? That's how psyops work, man. If you've seen the movie The Departed, they think they got a mole. Well, they tell 3 different people information and he says, flush it down the pipe and see which bit comes up. We know who the mole is. So I tend to think that Bob was a part of some kind of information where they showed him something and wanted to see where it would end up. Well, we saw it ended up in George Knapp's lap, They
wanted this to get out.
Maybe, or they were just testing to see. There's a WikiLeaks cable about a congressman talking about the secret moon base that Russia destroyed in like the 60s, and it turns out that that's just a cable leak because they want to see if that intelligence will end up somewhere else, So they do things like that and they will deliberately release misinformation for various reasons, either to obfuscate a situation, like is what I think they're doing here. They're trying to muddy the waters intentionally, or to see where it ends up, or there's so many different reasons they do that. The spy games are it's chess, man. And you got to think about all the different strategies and you'll never know where they're coming from, man.
Well, hang about, rewind here. I mean, I always say this, but I'm no ufologist, but what's this about a secret moon base that the Russians destroyed in the 60s? Because I've not heard this.
Okay, it's a WikiLeaks cable. I did a video about it about a year ago. It was one of the ones that came out in the WikiLeaks dump.
That's a cue, guys. That's a cue. Make sure you go subscribe to Area 503. He's got some interesting content on there. Go on, sorry.
Well, yeah, and if you want links to it, it's all, like I said, when I do research, I put the links there because I want people to see that stuff and go find it and look for themselves and make up their own mind, I'm just trying to share my opinion because I've done the research, and then I want everyone else to go read it and do the research and then share their opinions, but
thanks, IR Film.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Super chat. Love those.
So this secret moon base, do you actually think this happened?
Absolutely not. I think that was entirely a psyop. It was some way to, see what happened, or see if that information would end up on in a KGB, report or something like that. I definitely, because there's just no other information about it. It's just one random cable. There's no, let me see if I can find the link for you too, or are you looking it up right now?
No, I'm just saying thank you
okay.
to IR Film. I just, when it comes to blowing up alien bases, especially in the 60s, if an alien has the technology to put a base on the moon to monitor us, I really don't think we could have blown it up.
And if we did, we'd be in trouble. We'd be in a lot of trouble, Even if we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when Greer's talking about this this film that he's bringing out in the next month in July, and good luck to you, Mr. Greer, Dr. Greer, should I say. I just there's one bit with that where he says, you can't let them get weapons in space. We're going to do this to stop that. And I just think when it comes to our weapons and aliens, the aliens are going to kick the living shit out of us.
Oh, yeah. I believe you.
Have you seen Independence Day?
Yeah. Well, here's my theory on that. Okay. If you think about what a nuclear weapon is, it's a tiny sun. You're creating a small reaction of a sun. Okay. And our sun is massive, and there's a ton of energy there. And in order to travel between solar systems, the amount of energy needed is massive. It's well beyond the sun. So if you can harness that
need
type
to
of
create
energy,
a Dyson sphere first.
well, that's one possibility. Yeah, and harness that. If you could harness the sun, or even harness the energy of a galaxy, even, that's where you start talking about things like that. But there's other energy, I don't know about energy generation. They talk about 0 point energy and things like that, and I try to follow as much of that as I can, but I'll be the first to admit that most of it's over my head, and I'm just trying to get the concepts of it so I can understand what people are talking about. And when we're talking about folding space and things like that, the power requirements are becoming, they're like, oh yes, it's possible, but you'd need all the energy in the universe, or you need the energy of a sun, or something like that. Well, they're developing all that technology anyways. They just don't have the power sources yet. All this other technology, all these other sciences and studies that they're doing, they're acting as if there's going to be a power source to plug into these things someday, like almost like they know that they have one and they're just waiting for the time to release it. Like, hey, let's develop all this other technology first, and then we can say, oh yeah, by the way, we do have abundant, infinite energy. We could have shut down the oil pumps years ago, but economics, blah blah blah. That's how that goes.
But if they say that these beings, or whatever they are, have been here for thousands of years, they've been here for thousands of years. Say they came here thousands of years ago from somewhere else, that surely that technology must be insane. Unless the only way that I see that Greer could be right with this, and we may possibly be a threat back to them, is that maybe when you look, and I'm really not into the whole ancient aliens when it comes to the program, although it was entertaining at the time. But maybe a civilization like the Egyptians or whatever did manage to get kind of like a partnership with these beings at the time. Okay. But there was a Judas that turned on the aliens and actually stole some of the technology and decided, you know what? We're not being the bitches here. We're going to take them on.
That's great, man. You just described a Stargate episode, actually, where they stole technology from aliens and were like, hey, we're tired of you guys saying no. We're just going to jack a few things and take them. It's awesome. Like that could definitely be a possibility, and the other thing is too.
That's the only way that I see it happening, that we could be actually on a par with them when it comes to like secret space programs, that we could actually be on a par with their technology. The only way we've done that is to steal it many years ago. I mean, you hear all the stories of Atlantis, this, that, and the other, or a civilization that disappeared. I'm a big believer that there was a civilization that was highly advanced that has disappeared.
That's always, I tend to think that there was at some point too, like the odds that humanity would be the first intelligent species to evolve to the point of being technologically capable is, in all of the history of the universe, is probably not very good. It's more likely that there's another intelligent species out there that has risen, before us, just because of how long the universe has been around. And this is something else to keep in mind too, though, is the relativity of time. Like our GPS satellites have to be adjusted every day because time actually operates differently at the altitude that they're at. There's a small different, there's relativity in time. And so when you start talking about intelligent species developing, we're evolving at our rate of time. Now, if there's say a super massively dense planet that has, time might evolve faster or slower depending on whether the planet's huge or small. So the technologies or the species there relative to us would advance faster, from our point of view. I don't know if I'm explaining that concept very well.
I've seen Interstellar. It's probably my favorite film of all time. It gives me goosebumps just listening to the soundtrack of that thing. But
Yeah.
it's very hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about time, that can even be possible, you know, in our little minute pea pod brains.
We're
When
gonna
it comes, if it is a civilization like that, then yes, we have got little pea pod brains.
Right. If they're evolving at a rate of 10 times what we are, you know, we can only speculate what they're going to have, you know. And then again, we'll also probably find societies that are evolving slower as well, you know, like, but that's, you know, we're talking about, you know, exploring other solar systems here, which we, you know, we really don't have the power or the technology to do yet. But in 20 years, that might be a different story. If half of these technologies that they're talking about, the Salvatore Pi stuff, if all those technologies are real, then we might, you know, they might just say, hey, by the way, yeah, we can fold space and go anywhere we want, but we had to get our squat together here on Earth, you know, first. We had to get things together. Now, that's something else too. You know, you talk about the ancient aliens thing, and has there been an alien presence here for a long time? Quite possibly, but why only one? You know, why wouldn't there be an official presence of people who were sent here, maybe, or a species that was sent here to overlook us or to guide us towards something? Maybe it's a Star Wars type thing where they're trying to bring us into a galactic senate, you know, or type of thing, but we have to be ready, or we have to have a certain set of conditions first. But that kind of scares me, because I think that there wouldn't only be one. And just like in the geopolitics on our planet, the aliens would be coming here doing their own little proxy wars and manipulations, trying to get Earth ready for whatever they want it to do when we join that galactic senate or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Like, they might be here trying to get us to be like, oh, there's currently a war in the galactic senate over economics versus, you know, some sort of socialism or something, and this Earth could be the deciding factor when they join. You know, it could be something like that. You just never know. And there could be, like I said, one that's here to help, and maybe some that are here illegally or unbeknownst to the rest that are due up to their own machinations, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm a big I'm say a big believer. I'm a big believer that if we get out there, then we will have that same thing as Star Trek. You know, we'll have that prime directive. If we come across a planet that they're all cavemen, or like cave plant-based men or whatever, you know, we'd probably just check them out, but we would leave them alone. And I think any civilization that is out there, that unless they just think, you know what, let's go to that planet and take everything for what it's got. If they're intelligent and they want to like just check out what they can, I do believe that any civilization, if they want something enough, they will have it in them to get it. But that's when I'm looking at a civilization that's like us, selfish little bastards, which we are.
Right,
Because
from a human point of view.
if we, from a human point of view, if we get
Yeah.
out into space, we see a planet that's got shitloads of minerals that we need on it, whether there's a civilization living there or not. How we operate now, we will take that.
Yeah,
You know,
like in Avatar, the movie Avatar.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like that. Unfortunately, that is what we are like, and you'd get some humans that would protest against that. You know, I would definitely be one of them and say, leave the aliens alone. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Sentient, intelligent life. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we are the really only intelligent people on this planet, like, or intelligent species, you know, on that level. But sorry, you had something more to say.
well, no, but this is what if it is going on and if it is going down, there's more than one alien. You know, the it's probably teeming with life. So who's to say that there are then selfish little green bastards? I'm going to get this video taken down just for saying bastards, but it's fine. Who's to say? I always label my stuff as over 18 anyway. Who's to say that there is a civilization that just looks at us like, you know, food, or they look at they look at the planet and say, you know what, we want the minerals that they've got. But then there's another civilization that's like, no, hang about, you can't go there, leave it, and maybe there is something going on.
Yeah,
Maybe
and there might
it's
be a
possible.
conflict. Yeah, for sure. I've thought about that too. Like and that's what's so hard when we talk about UFOs and aliens, you got to really differentiate, because you can't just say all aliens or just one alien or whatever. Like, there could be, however many different numbers of species visiting us. And like I said, some of them might be legitimate or authorized or have our own best interest in hearts. And some of them might just want to come and pick up some cows and take their eyes and tongues, who knows, like, we can't really speculate, it's like, how do you try to psychoanalyze an alien? It's hard enough to psychoanalyze another human being, and we know human beings, we don't even know aliens to try that. So, it's hard to try to guess their motives, but I kind of look at it like you said, as we go out into the universe, like we're going to see that there's planets and resources out there. And I used to think, a long time ago, I thought for sure it was like aliens are here for our water. They're here for our gold. They're here for our resources. But the more I learned about astronomy, it's not the case. There's comets of frozen ice out there that provide just more than enough water, more water than is on our planet. There's literally, gold is made in the stellar reactions of a dying sun and then shot out into the universe. It's out there in abundance. It's not rare. What's rare is life. And what's even rarer than life is intelligent, sentient life. We are the only ones on the planet that have reached that level of evolution. There's,
Breaking up again, man.
All right. Thanks for telling me that. I can fix it. I have to restart my audio stuff, but is it better now?
Yeah, no. You only broke up for a few seconds, and I'll catch you straight away. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, if you look at these people like Elon, you got the Bezos, you've got the recently, well, I say recently, it was a while ago now, Hawkins, people like that are kind of like very much intelligent people, or just rich people, or a bit of both. You'd think that these people would know things. Do you think that Elon knows anything of what's going on?
I'm not sure about Elon. He said, he made a tweet the other day. He was like, you would think that I would know when someone was talking about aliens and UFOs. He's like, you would think that I would know. I'm guessing he's referencing SpaceX there, but I don't know why. I mean, I've watched pretty much every SpaceX launch I can get my hands on, and you would think that I would know, because I've watched them, but I don't know that Elon has security clearances. He must to be in the space program, and he has for years to be in the space program. So he has some kind of security program or security clearance. You don't work on SLS space launch systems if you don't have that in any capacity. Does that mean that they would bring him in on the no? I don't see why. Jimmy Carter and President Clinton could walk in and tell them, hey, tell me everything you know about UFOs. And they can be told, as sitting presidents, you don't need to know that information. But then they're going to voluntarily give it to Elon Musk. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Did you see the NASA thing the other day, though, where she said at the end, it was a NASA conference, I can't remember what it was called, but a lady said at the end, if that it's definitely not them, and we would like that technology. And talking about the things like the go fast and the flare footage,
Sure. Well, I'm sure the Pentagon would say the same thing. Officially, it's not ours, but we want it.
So you would think if Elon sees this as not being bullshit, and this is very much, some sort of craft, as a businessman, he would be salivating over this footage, because I know I would. If you're a big businessman and you're using, fuel and sending rockets into space, just the way we've always done, even though you've put like a little nice apple finish on it, it looks lovely. Does the dragon, it's nice inside, but it still does the same things. It's still powered the same way as they've always been powered. So surely, as a businessman, he would be interested in that. And I wondered if there's something going on the side with SpaceX. Maybe they're investigating it.
They should be.
Everybody
should be. Yeah, why wouldn't you? If you have anything to do with space, but that's what kind of, who's been running space for the last 40 years? You look at those institutions and you think they haven't been investigating that stuff. You think Lockheed and some of our other contractors haven't been doing that before they put these satellites into space, because I believe that they have been, and I think that they can explain away most things, and most things have an explanation. I'm not sure that Elon would know. I'm not sure that they would tell him. Again, if they don't tell sitting presidents, I don't think they tell anyone. Nobody gets the full dope. They're not just going to pull somebody in and be like, here's the straight story from 47 on. Nobody gets that. You get what you need to know to do your job, and that's it. That's how they work. They give you the bare minimum.
Do you believe there is a secret space program?
Do I? I haven't seen any evidence of it. I mean, we have a public one at Space Force. I don't think there's a secret space program. No. The whole Stargate theory, I would like to think that that's true and that they are as honorable and altruistic as the people in the show Stargate. Unfortunately, I don't see that. Our military tends to place American priorities over global priorities. And that's how I think that they would handle that if our people were left in charge of it, unless it was some sort of coalition thing. Again, and I keep referencing Stargate because that's kind of what we're talking about, a secret space program, secret technology, just generally.
Alien
that could be
Addicts,
something.
sponsored by Stargate. There you go.
But by the new CBS Stargate. By the way, Brad Wright, if you want a producer for the new Stargate, hit me up, man. I'll talk to you. I'll give you some ideas.
You got some good ideas for that.
Yeah, they just got CBS just got bought by Amazon, so they're thinking that there might be a new Stargate series coming out now.
Brad Amazon was a bit shitty, but he's starting to get some really good stuff on recently.
Yeah, they're trying to be competitive.
I can't remember what it was called. There was a sci-fi series on there, and it was so good. I forgot the name of it. It can't be that good because I forgot the name.
For All Mankind, was that the one?
No. It was about some sort of cell roboty thing. That they ended. It's on like season 5 now. It'll come to me. It'll probably come to me at the end of the video, but it's great. I'll send you it, money when I find it. It's a great series.
Yeah, I love sci-fi stuff, man. I like to watch.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. I just forget about it. I know what Star Trek is, though. I'll always remember Star Trek.
What?
I can't do that. I can't. I literally have to fold my fingers to do that. I'm so jealous at people that can do that.
Yeah,
it drives me crazy. Do you think that Joe Rogan will be the man to deliver like anything more when it got to the table now when it comes to this subject? Do you think, because he seems to be going through everybody? The only person he's not interviewed yet is Lou, and I've predicted that ages ago. It's going to happen. He will interview Lou Elizondo this year, definitely. Then me.
But then again, let's say this too: who hasn't Lou done a talk show on? I mean, come on, that's not. I haven't released this video yet, but there's a video coming up where I talk about Lou, and in that I say you can't walk to the store without bumping into 3 people that Lou's done a live stream with, and I firmly believe that about him, and that again is why I think he's just out there talking to anyone who will listen.
The reason why I say that about Joe Rogan is because, especially here in the UK, so if I start talking about UFOs in the pub, people look at me like I'm just like it's madness. But I think if you started talking about it in the States, like, oh yeah, I saw that on the news the other day. There's not much here, but then there's a lot of fans of Joe Rogan, and it's starting to. I've noticed that people then. I'm having friends coming to me and going, "You've got a YouTube channel, haven't you, Ollie, on aliens?" Yeah, it's my best mate. It's like, I saw Joe Rogan. He's been interviewing people and talking about aliens a lot recently. So it seems to me that Joe Rogan's educating the world when it comes to aliens, and that's how it's coming out through Joe Rogan. When it comes to the world,
Sure, I hear what you're saying. Like that's what's bringing it to the mainstream. Like people are saying, "Hey, we're hearing about this now." And I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that though, because I always thought like, over in the UK, I thought like there's the Co Express UK runs a lot of different UFO pieces on their virtual newspaper, the web newspaper, or whatever. And so I just always kind of assumed I was like, oh, that's one of those. It's kind of like a subculture over there, But I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that it's not. I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting.
If you're a decent Brit, you'll stay away from them type of news.
Yeah, we used to have them over here. They were the Inquirer and the weekly world news that had Bat Boy and other stuff on them. It's kind of I kind of figured that those may be those kind of tabloids, but there's actually a few ufology channels that got some pretty big growth off of those,
Tyler did. Tyler was constantly selling stuff to the UK papers.
Oh yeah, they were reaching out to him.
His stories were constantly in there.
And that's a catch-22 because they both get growth off it. The tabloids get some good content, and then he gets growth. Like I totally get how that works, and that that happened for him for a while, and then they kind of dumped him and went to like Scott Waring and a couple other channels and things like that. But
PewDiePie, like the biggest YouTuber. Well, he's not anymore, but he was talking about the footage the other day. He was literally debunking it, like doing a Mick West. So I think he's secretly a fan of Mick West, because he was pretty much spot on with what Mick West was saying on the debunks. But yeah, it's like that video. I think now has had like something ridiculous, a few million views.
It's amazing
how out to a bigger audience.
A lot of people are coming out, like on Twitter, like there's celebrities that are coming out. I can think of a few, and not just the ones that the mainstream reported, but like MC Hammer of all people came out and was like, I had a UFO encounter. I want to talk about it. And I responded to him. I was like, dude, I'll listen to you if you want to come on my show, man.
That'd be so cool.
Dude, I would love to talk to him or any of those other people. Corey Feldman was another one who said all of the UFO stuff.
You say Corey Good then?
Corey Feldman from the
I thought you were going to say Corey Good.
No. Just talking about celebrities that have said that they've had experiences. There was all kinds of different people have come out and said stuff, and now it seems like there was a stigma for years. Like you said, I still get that from friends of mine. They'll be like, do you think aliens and UFOs exist? And I'm like, well, yeah, I firmly believe that they do. And
okay,
I get
do you
that look
believe
like
that they exist here?
Sure, absolutely. Why not? I think that they could have been
You've
here.
You've got to say that. You've got a UFO channel.
Yeah, I definitely believe that they could exist and have been here. But again, what's their lifespan like? Are we talking about a creature that lives for 10,000 or 15,000 of our years? Maybe we might not see them over every 100 or 200 years. Maybe they're not here all the time. Maybe they stop in and checking us from time to time. I don't think there's a permanent duck blind type scenario where they're on our planet permanently. Although maybe there is. There might be something going on under Antarctica. A lot of people wonder about that, and the what's going on down there with the international community that's built up down there after World War II, I should say. It's kind of interesting.
So forget the narrative at the moment and how it's been pushed, where it been a threat beforehand, before all this came out. Do yourself thinking about aliens? Do you think that they would be peaceful, or do you think that that they would be quite selfish?
I think that they would be peaceful unless they were antagonized. I kind of liken it to, if you're taking a hike out in nature, right, and you come across a giant fire ant hill or something. I don't know if you guys have fire ants over here. They're nasty little buggers. It feels like getting stuck with like getting a shot every time they bite you.
Yeah. We have ants, but they're just all drunk. Well, mine are anyway. When usually I'll leave a can of beer outside and they just go inside it.
Yeah. So, like in my opinion, I definitely don't think that they would mess with us unless we messed with them. Why would they? We're not a threat to anybody else but ourselves on this planet full of nuclear weapons. We're not even a threat to the planet. Honestly, we could launch every single weapon that is on this planet. And I firmly believe that the planet would come back from it over time. You look at different areas where we've tested nukes and you see that nature takes it back over. We could dust ourselves and the planet would just shrug it off and come back.
Definitely a Fallout promoter.
Remember, guys.
I think Manny's wanting this to happen.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. I think honestly, I feel like we are the stewards of the planet,
the
and
button.
I think we should take care of it. You know, here it is. That's us. That's our little globe. That's us. You know, that pale blue dot.
Yeah. There you go. Just pull it up to the camera and roll it around. See what the flat earthers say. There we go. It's not real. It's not real, guys. It's flat. Though flat earthers quite like my channel. They do. I get them. I'm nice to them though, because it's been a little bit of I once interviewed well, he wasn't a flat. He said to me, I put the title of the video out as interview with flat earther, and he then emailed me and said, I can't believe you've done that. I says, what? He said, you've called me a flat earther. I'm a globe denier.
Okay, whatever. Potato, right?
I not to get onto flat earthers, but I kind of do get sometimes where they're coming from, because when you do see some of the NASA stuff, it is a little bit like, come on, that's not real.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I've looked at way too much NASA stuff to think that anyone could fake that at the level of what they're doing. You know, Perseverance.
No, I
has
don't.
Like
I do not think
images.
I do not think it's fake at all. I do not think it's fake. But what I'm saying is, when you're seeing it, it's like Elon said when he said it looks so good, it looks so fake. That's how you know it's real.
And yeah, well, we've been dealing with that in ufology, right? How many times have you had a piece of footage that you're like, I swear this is a UFO, and they're like, that's too good, it has to be CGI, and then that's where the discussion ends. You know, there's no proof of it being CGI, but the argument that it's CGI is that it's too good, you know, and it's just, I don't know. I've done CGI work and I know how that works. And I can pull up a program and show you it's not as damn easy as people think to make a convincing UFO video. You know, it's not simple, you know.
As well, when you're looking at the NASA, the old NASA footage, and I have this computer that I've got that you can't see, has got loads, and I mean thousands of images where I just trolled the moon, literally looking at NASA footage. And you can see where they've put bits of tape on to cover certain things up. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that was just to stick it together and trying to make they've eventually unstuck it, but it's just in weird places. So it's almost like maybe they did at that site. They went there for a reason, because they found something.
Well, for sure. I think in the 2001 disclosure event, one of the witnesses there had said that they were working at NASA at a photo. No, she went and visited somebody who was working in the photo thing, and that was their department, right? Was to cover up stuff like that. Yeah. So that tells me that they've known for a long time that something's out there, and if they didn't want it to get out, you know, where are those documents? Where are those photos? Where are the decades of those photos? Where is all of that? Where's all that information? They have it somewhere, you know, like, and that's when we're talking about disclosure. That's, you know, we keep going back to that, but that's what I want to see. I want to see all that stuff. You know, I want to see those scrubbed NASA photos and the originals. I want to see some kind of paperwork from an investigation report. Let's see something with Lou Elizondo's name on it that shows that he actually investigated a UFO and not an advanced foreign adversaries threat, you know, because from everything that I've seen about ATIP was that it was about advanced foreign threats, not UFOs. That's what the UAP task force was for. ATIP was specifically about identifying advanced foreign threats. All the documents from Harry Reid have said that. All the documents that Lou has provided have said that. Lou's the only one who's confused where he says, it's UFOs. Is that aliens or not? I can't tell you. You know, like, he's the one who's intentionally muddying the water on that subject. And again, that makes me wonder about his credibility. Why? Is it to turn ufology? Is it to turn people like you and me against a foreign threat that we're normally, I'd say, I don't care if Russia's got it. We've had it for 60 years. You're really worried about them having some technology we had 60 years ago? Like, why? What do we have now that you're not telling us about? It's 20 years more advanced than that, you know?
What are your views on Mr. Greer?
So
you briefly spoke about that earlier. Be careful what you say about him, because I'm good friends.
No, I on the subject the current subject, I'm a huge fan, and I'm 100% Team Greer. He said everything that I had been thinking to myself and said in my videos, but he's got a great platform and people listen. I hate to say it, I've got under 1,500 or so subscribers, so I can ring the bell all day long and rattle my saber about a lie and a conspiracy or whatever, and nobody's gonna, how far is my reach? Stephen Greer, he would know. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. And I believe that he is altruistic. I believe that his intentions are for the betterment of everybody. He's not trying to do it to get rich, like, come on, man. He would have done it already. Now, there's not everything that he says I'm not going to agree with everything that he said over the 20 years he's been doing this. But then again, Lou Elizondo did it 30 seconds and I disagreed with him. So that's all I got to say. I'm 98% on board with Greer. There's a few things I don't really like, but that's just a personality issue.
Do you believe that people are seeing UFOs when he takes them out to the beach to look at them out at sea?
Not so much. I've never seen anybody be able to summon a UFO. And if they can, I'd like to see them do it not at a beach and do it on demand, And that's kind of one of the things that I don't really agree with is the channeling and all that stuff. I'm like, well, that's more of a religion or a belief than it is a physical science, right? It's more of a philosophy. So, yeah, I don't really agree with it, but I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, I toss out the stuff I don't like and I keep the stuff that I do.
Do you think that there's more to this than just aliens? I mean, by that, when I'm talking about the whole paranormal thing, you hear there's many people I've spoke to about UFO encounters. John, for one, that has seen the shadow figures, the orbs, and all sorts of different things, even ghosts, so to speak. Do you think that it's linked?
I definitely think it could be. And I've asked myself this a number of times, like if an alien species were to visit the Earth 2,000 years ago, would people think it was a spirit? Possibly, or a ghost or a demon or something, like hell, to this day, if you saw something you couldn't explain, then maybe it could be, especially if we're talking about some sort of an energy type of being or something that is, not exactly corporeal as we understand it, not a flesh and bone creature, then yeah, that could definitely be an alien intelligence that's visiting that's misunderstood as something else just because we don't know.
But you don't think there can be both?
Oh, for sure. Or a mixture of both. It could be either or. I mean, I'm open to anything because in the absence of evidence, everything's speculation, and that's all we're doing. It's all about beliefs and speculation at that point. But, I think that there could be a combination. There could be, I'm not saying that all spirits are aliens or all aliens are spirits by any means or anything like that. It could be that there's all kinds of life that we just can't see, just like our eyes can only see a very small part of the visible light spectrum. There's all kinds of things that could be out there that we haven't witnessed or experienced and just don't know about. So that's definitely a possibility.
Mate, is your bed on fire?
No, those are just some lights I tossed on there.
It look like flames from here. Like what? What's going on
Raise
there?
the roof, man.
I wish I went upstairs tonight and my wife had put a load of lights on our bed. I'd be like, oh,
Hey,
what's going on here? You want to watch some UFO documentaries?
But yeah. Let's go check out this new Bob Lazar film, honey.
So do you think that there's anything to these shadow figures that people are reporting?
I don't know. A lot of them that I look at, I see as, like there was the one that was in, I think it was Mexico or something. It looked to me like a woman who was kind of standing out, kind of looked like a zombie in low light, like a very skinny woman. I've seen all kinds of different things and you got to kind of take it into context, but I would really like to see a good in-depth study into that where somebody goes and sets a whole bunch of cameras up instead of just one shaky cell phone camera, like a real good, hey, let's get 5 cameras on one angle. So we have more than one thing to look at and more than one source of information.
Yeah, that's what Wreaking Havoc's trying to do. He's setting up loads of cameras and trying to find out what it is. But it's not just John that I spoke to about this. This is a few people now. And I've had a few emails come in that people have had encounters with UFOs and people that also see these shadow things and explain them as in this thing moves. You know, it's not just a case of just seeing something in the corner of your eye. It's a case of that thing's in front of me, and it is a shadow that is a figure that is moving, and then it looks. Every time that everybody's told me about it as well, it's like this thing looks shocked and pisses off. You know, it runs off or disappears as soon as somebody sees it. It's weird.
Wow. Yeah, that
But
is interesting.
It's a few cases.
Yeah, like a shadow or something like that. Pareidolia and things, you know, you can explain seeing faces in clouds and the knot in
Yeah.
a tree or something like that. But pareidolia doesn't explain a reaction to your presence. That shows an intelligence of some kind, something that's alive and interacting with you. You know, so that's pretty interesting, you know, and I would like to hear more about those.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that is like with your channel, if you've come across that or anything like that when you've been researching ufology.
I haven't seen much, and I've looked at a few of those types of videos, but mainly I tend to go for the UFO videos and not the paranormal, the Bigfoot, that type of stuff. I'm just like, you know, it's not really my thing, and really a lot of that to me is just speculation. You know, like you can look at it and say, well, yeah, here we are, but there's no real evidence. You know, like you need more than one angle, you need more than one piece of footage, you need witness statements to ask questions, or at least someone you can talk to get more information. You know, but other than that, it's fun to sit around and look at stuff and speculate. I do it all the time with UFO footage, like when Richie's playing a piece of footage on GoofOn, I'll be like, oh, I think it's this, I think it's that, you know, like it's kind of what we do, you know, like try to share the information and discuss so we can figure it out. But yeah.
Manny, you've heard, you must have heard of this final card, the alien threat being the final card when it comes to the Illuminati cards and what have you. And they say that they've been prepping us for this for years when it comes to the movies that we watch, the way that the aliens have been portrayed to us. And also, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a lady that spoke to Von Braun, and he said that this is what you need to watch out for before he died. Do you
Carol Rosen, yeah, at the disclosure event.
Yes. Do you believe that she's telling the truth and Von Braun did actually say that to her?
It's in my gut. I believe that. I do. And the reason why is because I feel like she was being sincere, that she wasn't making anything up. So then the question is, did Von Braun actually say that to her? I believe that. Now, what was his motivations for saying it? That's where you get into some tricky things, because you're talking about a guy who had, he had a very crazy life, to put it mildly. If you really think about where he started and where he ended, the guy went on a roller coaster, and he wasn't the only one. There was, you know, a lot of other people that went along with him, but he's the one that we're talking about that was in the public eye. And I imagine that he probably had a few things he wanted to get off of his soul on his deathbed. You know, if anybody's ever spent some time around someone like that when they're on their deathbed, you know that, especially people who have been in the military or have secrets or have done, you know, they feel like they want to get it off their chest. They don't want to die with that on them. And so it just has the ring of truth. Now, can we prove it? No, we don't have a recorded conversation and a sworn statement from Warner von Braun. And we most certainly don't have, you know, statements from von Braun where he's naming names and pointing fingers, you know, but oh, Richie's here. Richie, I guess we found Richie. We know who killed Bobby Lupo.
Yeah, I did watch her speak about that, and she did look extremely believable. It didn't look like she was lying about it. It looked like it was her, what she'd heard from him.
Yeah.
Similar when you look at Edgar Mitchell's story, you know, about what he saw. It's all a little bit like these. I think there's a lot of these space guys that they do know things, but it surprises me that very little comes out. Very, very little comes out of any of these. It's almost, so if it's true, it's almost like they're scared. They won't tell you until they're going to die.
If they do, yeah. If they do, some people take those secrets to their graves, you know. I'm sure Elizondo will. He's that kind of diehard that just believes that he's doing everything in the best and in the right. So, you know, when you talked about Shehan maybe turning him, you know, to get him to be truthful, I was just like, I don't know if that's going to happen. You know, like I don't know if that's going to work. But
do you trust
you know,
him, Shehan?
Yeah, I trust him definitely. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's done a lot of things over the years, not just a disclosure project I've done into him. And I definitely think that his heart is in the right place for sure. You know, I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing, but that doesn't mean that I don't trust him just because I don't understand it, you know? But yeah, I think he's square. I think everybody who stood up that day in 2001 is square. I think every single one of them is, from Greer all the way down the line. You know, and all the ones who didn't get to make it, I think they are too. Those people had no reason to come out and say what they had to say if it wasn't true. None of them were doing it for money or fame or grandeur. They were doing it to get the story out. And, you know, it just kind of got swept under the rug.
Yeah, I mean, as much as and I hear it all the time, there's people that tell me on probably on a daily basis when after I've uploaded a video, whenever I spoke about Stephen Greer, not daily, but a weekly basis, that, you know, Stephen's full of shit, this, that, and the other. I think when you look at some of the stuff that he's done, but when you look at his recent video, there's a couple of questionable UFOs in there. You know, that there's definitely. I think I actually got a copy of that early from Osvaldo Franco, and I thought, holy shit, this is amazing, and I put a clip of it out, but then literally, Osvaldo Franco then came to me and said, that's skydivers, and he sent me the full clip of it. But in the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, they've taken a slight tiny clip, and it is skydivers, because I've got the full. I did a debunk after and did the full video because I felt so embarrassed that I got excited by it. But it almost makes me think that maybe sometimes the people who are doing some of the behind the scenes editing work for it, you know, find some good footage, get it put in there. There's that business aspect to Stephen Greer, but at the same time, I do think he is in it for the right reasons, because when you saw in the video when he started to cry, and he's speaking about his friends that have passed away from it, that is not fake crying. That is real crying, and that is real kind of like trying to hold it back. 100%. Now, whether somebody like it kicked him in the bollocks before the take, I don't know. But you know, he was definitely emotional there. As soon as he spoke about that, he welled up, and that was a proper well up. That was proper emotion coming from the man, and that's what I can gel with. I gel with people that show emotion. You know, I don't know whether Lou's telling the truth or not. I don't know whether he can be trusted or not, but I don't get any emotion from the guy. Now, I know he's military and this, that, and the other, or whatever, but it's kind of a closed book when it comes to that. I don't know who Lou is. I get a bit of Stephen, and I kind of think, you know what, I would like to go. I'd like to go and have a barbecue at Stephen's house. You know, maybe a back massage with them big hands.
You know, I'm sure Lou would be a fun guy to have a barbecue with too. You know, if you weren't talking, you know, ufology or politics or anything like that, it might just be great. You know, he's probably a decent guy, you know, on some level, but I don't, like you said, I haven't seen a lot of emotion out of him either. I think there was one interview I saw where he got fired up about the politicians, about how they work for the people and all this shit. And I'm like, Lou, wake up, man. This is America. The politicians work for the fucking rich. They always have. Nothing's ever changed there. You know, Citizens United in 2010 only made it worse. And who are you even trying to kid now that you're some kind of champion for the people against these corrupt politicians? Let's face it. The corrupt politicians work for the same people Lou do. It's probably the deep state. You know, they're the ones who just keep profiting from this crap. So, I don't know. I found it interesting that the only time he showed a flare of kind of anger was when he was yelling about politicians. And I'm like, but Lou, you are a politician and you want to be a politician. So I I don't know. It seems interesting to me. I think he's just acting whenever he shows emotion. I think that's what it is to him. Is he'll show sincerity. He goes on these talk shows. You know, like let's say you come on your show, he would do this to you. About 5 minutes into it, he'll compliment you. He'll be like, "Oh, Ollie, I love that you did this, this, and that. I love that you did this show and that." Something that you wouldn't think Lou Elizondo would know about, but he does that to everybody. He does it to Dave Scott. He does it to he did it to John Greenwald. He's done it to every show he's been on. He's got this little pattern that he does where he compliments people, ingratiates himself with them, and then he starts sliding in the BS. You know,
it's funny you should say that, because a while ago I got approached by Corbell after I did a video about Bob Lazar. And he emailed me, and he said on a one-on-one basis he wanted to talk to me. He said some things, that I say about Bob are spot on, but he said you've got a lot wrong. But then he was very complimentary about the channel, and so I give him my details to get in touch, and quite a polite email back and forth, and then it kind of just stops, and I think, is this just kind of like is this what these people do? Do they just give you kind of like a little bit of like, "Oh, you're doing great, blah, blah, blah. Leave me the fuck alone." Don't talk.
Yeah. It's a technique. It's actually psychological, and it's manipulative. It's how you ingratiate yourself with someone so that they intrinsically do not want to rock the boat or to ask you hard questions or to really question what you're saying. It really is. It's just it's psychological, and it's Lou has been trained by the best. The guy was military intelligence ops. Like there's no greater manipulator out there than those people, and that every word and action out of their mouth is to get a result, at least that's my opinion.
I mean, he even bought himself and Bob a t-shirt. It's what's going on?
Well, hey, maybe you got a sincere fan. I could be guessing here that he was just blowing some smoke, but it sounds like
it's probably going to send me an email now. Do you mind not photoshopping your logo onto my t-shirt?
Right.
No, you know what though? I mean, I spoke to Rich about this, and Rich really didn't like the Bob Lazar film. I quite liked it. I weren't keen on the Skinwalker Ranch one, but I'd like to speak to Corbell, and I would like to ask him, all the questions that are the mistrust, because there's so much mistrust here. But then there's this divide that we have, and there is a massive divide. It's almost like what was that sea called that Jesus, or was it Moses? Or
the Red Sea, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It's just kind of just gone like that, and this TR3B's just shot straight down it.
Well,
it's crazy.
That's recent too, though, right? I mean, it really is. There wasn't a divide in ufology pre-TTSA like this, was there? It's almost like
other than other YouTube channels, other UFO channels just throwing shots at each other for. But
yeah, there could have been, and there was always the debunkers versus the ones who are claiming everyone's a hoaxer and that, but it wasn't as adversarial now. And you're seeing this injected in, and honestly, I've seen it in other clubs over the last few years too, other nonprofit organizations where the same thing is happening, and they're doing it to it's all based around politics. I hate to say it, but it really is, and they're trying to divide people. There's no more we're in the middle and we're going to discuss things irrationally anymore. You're either left or right. And that's it, or you're a ufology, or you're a hoaxer, or whatever. I mean, it just, I don't get it.
I just wish there weren't so much politics involved in ufology, because I hate politics. It bores the living shit out of me, and it drives me mad when people start arguing about it. So, but it's very much going that way. There's so much involved in it, and it's too much. I just want the aliens, I just want the aliens and the nice shiny objects and the technology.
Yeah, for sure. I used to come here to get away from the politics, because you can't get away from it anywhere else. You go on Facebook or Twitter or any social media, you're going to see it all everywhere now. And it's just like in every other part of our, at least it sounds like it's happening there, but just the politics is seeping into everything, and it's like, come on, man. Politics and religion, those are the things you keep behind closed doors amongst friends so that you can have a beer and fight and argue and still be friends about it, but it seems like the last few years, everyone wants to make everything public, everything's got to be out there. And it's like, I don't think it needs to be, especially if it's not relevant to ufology. Unfortunately, politics does play into ufology, especially if you're talking about factions in the DOD and things like that. It really does. So we have to address it. We have to address that part of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because, like you said, that the divide in the field now is just, it's so blatant. It's like, if I question Lou Elizondo and I do it civilly, people will be like, oh, you're just a hater. And I'm like, no, I have legitimate questions. Why can't you answer them? Not one person has been able to come up to me and say, explain to me why they love Lou Elizondo so much, and I have plenty of reasons why I dislike him and distrust him. I just want someone to dispel those. I want someone to come and say, no, this is why, this is why I believe him. I hear your concerns, but you didn't hear this or you didn't hear that. And nobody will. They'll either blindly attack or they will just, ignore me and be like, you're just a hater. I'm out of here. So I want someone. I would love to get Lou Elizondo on here. Lou, change my mind if you're watching this. If you can change my mind, dude, I'll herald you. I'll be your biggest supporter, but I don't think you can.
Well, Manny, we've been going for an hour and 39 minutes now, and it's normally about the now 3/4 along. So let's get a little bit onto your channel, because obviously I want you to promote your channel on here. So some of the guys. So what's the plans for Area 503?
So I'm going to keep doing what I do, which is my research videos, and that's that's the core of everything. That's how I keep my brain sharp and learn new things, is go out and learn new subjects and research them and then write a video about it to lock all that info in. I'm doing a lot more creative work now. I've been working on my music a lot more now that I've started doing that. I love it. It is so much
making
fun.
Your own.
Oh yeah. I'm making my own music, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it, but it is so much fun. And I love it. Every time I try to get off of something, done with the project, I'm like, I want to go and tinker with my music a little bit. It's fun. So it's there's that, and I'm doing a lot more fictional stuff that's based on reality, like my Tommy the Troll videos, who's going to be trolling Lou Elizondo. Yeah, like I'm trying to be a little bit more creative, and not reinvent the wheel, so to speak. I'm still going to be bringing out my tech videos and my space exploration stuff and all my UFO videos as I find good sightings. But there's 1,000,001 people out there bringing UFO sightings to us. And so I don't feel like I need to be the 1,000,002nd, but if anyone wants me to look at footage, I'm more than willing to look at it for our, for the viewers or whatever. If people want me to look at stuff, some people like how I analyze stuff. Some people don't. But I'm into it. I like looking at stuff and trying to figure it out. I love a good challenge and a good puzzle more than anything else, so that's where I'm going with that. But expect that. And, like I said, some more fictional stuff. I'm working on some screenplays. I might try to write a whole short film that I can film myself, which would be a fun project to do. But it's just so much work, you try to do the work of a team of people by yourself because it's guerrilla style. And that's what I can afford to do is, what I want to do. So, we'll see if that pans out.
People don't actually know what goes into doing a small video when these live shows, which is, I used to edit all my videos, and it used to take so much time. I work 40 hours during the week as well in a day job. So, and I've got 2 kids as well. So I'm like, I need to kind of cut this down a bit. And then I thought I saw quite a few channels going live, and I thought, you know what, that's the way to do it. That's the only way that I can kind of, so I know how much work goes into your channel when it comes to actually doing all these little edits and the little quirky things coming up. It takes forever, and sometimes it goes wrong, or your computer mine used to slow down sometimes, or drop a frame or so when it comes to editing. So yeah, and that, and making your own music as well. It's a hard job, mate.
Yeah, and it takes time. There's only 24 hours in a day, and we want to do so many different things. Everybody's got their own lives, like you talk about. You got work, you got kids, you got all kinds of things to deal with, and you got to prioritize different things, and and the video work can be real time consuming sometimes, and other times it just falls right into place. It all just depends on what I'm working with and how complicated I want to make it. If I have to do a lot of titles and animations or things like that, that can take some time. But that's just me, because I'm kind of a stickler. And if I have an animation idea in my head, I want it to look exactly like that on the screen, no matter how long it takes,
Yeah. Well, when you were on Goof On and Rich said that you were the next Security in 10, I was a little bit worried, and I thought, okay, what does he mean by this? Because Rich really doesn't, not that he doesn't like Tyler. He just frustrates him sometimes. Tyler, you frustrate Rich. He does like you, really. And I was speaking to Tyler the other day, and he said to me, because I said, why don't you come on? And he said, well, you've got that Rich guy on. And he makes fun of my voice. I felt like putting laugh out loud, but I went, oh, does he?
Come on, man. Like,
I've not heard that.
Yeah. I know, like, somebody came into the chat when I was on Goof On stream and was calling us a bunch of idiots and a-holes and stuff. And I'm like, I don't care what people say, dude. Like, you got to have thick skin if you're going to put yourself out there.
I mean, that's my advice to anybody. I mean, at least with the Third Phase boys, I mean, for a while, we used to always like argue with them, but they would just like say, right, invite me on, you can call me out live on it. I wish Tyler would do that, or anybody that is, if somebody started attacking me, I'd just go onto the show and say, come on, then let's hear it.
Yeah, you go confront him, right? Face to face. Yeah, that's what I thought Lou would have done, Mr. Military, Mr. Big Tough guy, but he got put in his place by a country doctor from Virginia,
he got invited on Third Phase, and he was on Dave. You mentioned he was on Dave Scott's show. I watched that, and he called Greer a very nasty name. You shouldn't really accuse anybody of being that, unless they are.
I don't know that if I was Greer's attorney, I'd have had some paperwork filed against Elizondo for saying that. To be honest with you, there'd have been a lawsuit in the works. I'd be like, no, dude, you can't slander me on the internet and think you're going to get away with it. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, I guess that just shows how terrified.
Whether he's saying it hypothetically speaking, but I mean, it was a little bit. Yeah. That was a bit far. You can call him many things, but that is weird. But you notice though, that's in his day and age though, that's how Lou could just turn somebody. If you call them that word, that means they are now the enemy, and if you support the enemy, you are too. So it's just that blind way of thinking that he can't handle serious questions. There's no way the guy could come onto my show, because I would just look him in the eye and say, are you fucking lying? Are you working for the deep state? Where's your proof? I wouldn't accept his double talk, and I'd keep him to task. But everybody else seems to, they don't want to. They'll ask him a question and he'll dance around it, and then be like, well, I can't reveal too many details. I can't, but I'm going to allude, Yeah. And I've interviewed somebody before where, I've had to stay within the rules of that person's interview, but it's been for like personal reasons that they may not want something to come out or whatever. I kind of get it. If Luke goes on a channel and he does say to that channel, look, you can't mention this, I'll terminate the interview if you mention this. I'll just literally I'll turn my computer off or whatever. What do you do?
As a journalist, if you have integrity, you tell them to get the fuck off your show, is what you do if you have integrity. I mean, like, I get what you're saying, like personal things, but if he's saying, I mean, there's a difference between personal things that people don't want revealed and him hiding the truth of the core of his statement. And that's what he's doing there, is if you question his statement too far, you'll always come up against one kind of a wall or another, which is either national security, I can't divulge it, or it's too personal or whatever. Well, then don't come out with your story if the core of it is secret. You can't, if you can't tell us about it? You're not asking about his child's name or where he's currently living or, things like that. You're asking him to verify his claims. You're asking him to prove what he's saying, and he can't. He just can't.
Yeah.
Beyond trust me. It's always trust me.
I'd have loved to have seen him go on and face Greer on third phase of the moon. That would have been I'd have felt a bit more like, you know what? This is maybe, just maybe, both of these guys are in it for the greater good. It's just they both got it completely wrong. If they to talk it out like men.
I don't see Elizondo that way, though. I just don't. He doesn't have a credible story. He has no reason to do what he has done. There's none. I do not buy that he's doing it for the truth. The guy doesn't give a squat about the truth. He double talks and lies for a living. That's like hearing a politician be like, I'm in it for the truth. Really? Since when? Why don't you're just going to say what you want to get my vote and then do what you want once you're in office, like you've always done? Come on. It's just, I don't buy him. He's not a truthful person. He's a paid liar. He's probably got enough psychological training to be a therapist, but he uses it to manipulate people instead of to help them, and that's what he's doing on all of us now, in my opinion, and it's not just the American public, it's the world. Everybody's listening to what he has to say. Everybody.
Like I say, I'm very devil's advocate when it comes to any of this, because I like to stay between both sides so I can so I can run a neutral channel, so I can speak to both parties involved. I just think it's a shame that there is that divide coming. That divide when it comes to this subject is not going to do anybody any good. So I think that my advice to anybody that's listening to this is, if you feel like attacking somebody because they believe in Stephen Greer or they believe in Lou Elizondo, don't attack them. Hear them out. Have a conversation about it. It's a weird thing. We're talking about aliens. We're talking about spaceships. We're talking about a possible, what they say is an alien threat. That's one thing I do not believe. I do not believe it's a threat at all.
I don't either. That's why I started the hashtag no alien threat, is just because I wanted people to try to, there has to be a counter voice. There's an echo chamber now of people saying threat, but that's just Lou's latest bit. He never said threat 3 years ago. He started out with the phenomenon, it's real, and he's slowly built his way up to the threat narrative where he's at now by changing things a little bit each week.
However, if you are a pilot, or you're on the ship and there is something that is unidentified, you have no idea what it is, and is it not your job to say it's a threat?
I don't know. Currently it is. Currently they need to report it. There are FAA regulations around it. If you're talking about civilian pilots, if you're talking about military pilots, as far as I know, they've always reported that type of stuff.
But do you know what I mean? Would it not be my job as the pilot? And there's something that I have no idea what it is.
So I'm a pilot. I'm up in an F-18 and I see a threat. I'm going to dust it because I have the weapons to do it and I have the technology to do it. And I'm going to attack it if I think it's a threat. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to film it and run away and call for help. I'm going to shoot something at it. That's what Bigfoot would do. That's why they scrambled the two fighters over Oregon when there was a UFO here. Those guys were not sent out to go and play nice. They were sent out fully loaded with weapons to drop a Mode Z stealth intruder over the continental US. It's hard to say afterwards.
So you think Fravor should have tried to attack it?
Well, if he thought it was a threat, yeah, why not? If it's a threat, attack it. Isn't that what our military does? If it's even a possibility of it's a threat, then they take it down. They don't wait for a threat. That's how military intelligence works, though. They're saying if there's a possibility that there's a threat, we treat it as a threat. Now they're expecting us as civilians to make that same mental jump, and I'm not going to. I'm not a military ops guy. I'm not a spy.
See, I don't remember Fravor using the word a threat. To be fair.
I'm not talking about Fravor here. I'm talking about the other players.
It would, but as a pilot, and there's something that's near your team, near your airspace or whatever, you have no idea. To him, even to me as the pilot, I think, what the hell is that? That is you know,
Well, there's rules of engagement for the pilots, whether they can, go weapons hot, whether they can attack these things, whether they're supposed to observe and report, and I think that's what you're asking is, like, why would they do that? Well, they need to
no,
identify these things.
I'm just saying that I, in that aspect, I do get why they call it a threat.
Okay.
I get that bit, but it's the whole, it's the fact that the word UFO got removed from YouTube. You put UFO into YouTube now, and that's what you get. The threat. That's what you get.
Right.
That's the issue.
Well, that's one thing too. That's YouTube, who's controlled by what money, I guess, or whatever. However they want to choose how to do that. It could be Facebook or Twitter doing the same thing, and they do. We all know that they sandbox certain shadow banning, I think is what people are calling it, but sandboxing keywords and topics is the same thing. YouTube's done that for years, whether they were promoting Logan Paul and PewDiePie type of content or paranormal type of content or other type of content.
So you think it's just because it's an algorithm thing and this is what works?
It could be. I couldn't even tell you how YouTube just has selected that.
Because if that's the case, when you type UFO, and you should be getting third phase of moon, you should be getting Secure Team 10. You don't see them.
Yeah, you used to. I mean, you used to get all of those. Have they changed the way the search algorithms work? Probably. Was that at the request of someone, or is it because the same people who have all the money are pulling all the strings? I mean, we can speculate all day long. I don't really know, but it wouldn't surprise me to find out that that's how it is. That it's part of a large. It's not a coincidence. It wouldn't surprise me if this was part of the plan. But here we are talking about it anyways. They can only stop us so much.
Well, Manny, it has been great having you on tonight, and I really appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate anybody from the States stopping by, because it must be early for you guys. Is it like 4 or 5 o'clock?
It's 4 in the afternoon.
That's coming up to my dinner time. That sort of time. But no, I really appreciate you coming on. It'd be great to get you on with some of the other guests for like a panel talk about this. If you'd be up for that, mate. That'd be awesome.
I would love to, man. I've watched some of your panels here, and there was a few where I wish I could have jumped right in, but I had to troll the chat.
It'd be great. It'd be great to get you on with them. But yeah, everybody in the chat tonight, thank you so much for I haven't really been able to monitor what's going on there, so I hope everybody's been nice. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support, the thumbs up, everything like that. Make sure you check out Manny Area 503. I have put you in the description. Yes, I have, because sometimes it doesn't work, but it has worked. I've just checked there. So yeah, when you're uploading your next video, my friend?
Let's see. It'll be next week sometime at the first part of the week, mate. I think. Yeah, I think I'm looking at the.
How many videos do you do a week?
I try to do at least one video a week at minimum, and other pop-up videos will come up as they, as they need, like our different subjects. But it's, there's always something that pops up, and I keep looking at my calendar because I got 4 video projects I'm working on there. Things are shifting around all the time. So you might see one week where I do 3 videos, or, it might be just one week where there's only one kind of update type thing. But yeah, at a minimum, I'm trying to do at least one every week.
Thank you, Mr. Catfish, by the way. But yeah, Nate, it's I know how hard it is to get these edits done and get it out when you've got a life as well away from YouTube. Even though this is what we love doing, and I always remember, like, when I was editing videos, thinking, I want to get more out, I want to get more done, because I really enjoy doing it. And sometimes when you're editing a video, you've got a big grin on your face because you see that something's really working. I miss that. So yeah, it's
a good feeling, dude. There's been a few times where I've just stood up and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. This is beautiful. It's perfect. And there's other times I keep looking at it and I'm like, this is crap. I got to start all over, like I got to go back to square one on this one. And that does happen sometimes, but it's a love-hate relationship, and it's a roller coaster of fun, whether you're going up or down, it's still all fun. That's the way I look at it. So thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for everyone who stopped by.
No worries, man. I'm just going to say goodbye to the chat, and I'll come back to you for a proper goodbye, mate, in a second when the show ends.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It was good to see y'all in the chat. I didn't get to see it much because we were talking and I had the window closed, but I appreciate y'all coming by to hang out with Ollie and me. Take care.
Thank you, mate. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Means a lot. And yeah, the best thing you can do for me, if you like the content, get it shared out to a friend, family member, or anybody that doesn't know about the subject of UFOs. Let them know about it. I can't get over this T-shirt. Oh, by the way, I've just thought of something. If I turn my brightness up on here, because I can turn my lights right up. See, I'll probably look naked, like with a Mickey Mouse. No. Actually, that was pretty good. No, don't like it. Don't like it. Make myself orange. There we go. That's better. I didn't do that to start off with. Anyway, folks, good night. God bless. Mind the ducks don't bite. Mind the bugs don't bite. I've been saying that for years, getting it wrong. The support that you guys are giving me right at the moment, loving it. Loving it. Yep. Check out the links in the description for Area 503. And good night. God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite. Oh, and if you want a T-shirt, the link is in the description. Go grab yourself one. Send me a picture of you in the T-shirt. Nothing else. Good night. I always forget how to end this live stream. There we go. Bugs don't bite. Good night.